we are going to conduct an analysis of a common and critical error in human thinking. It's known as the motivational fallacy. Motivation. It's a concept central to human action. We tend to believe it's a resource you either possess or you lack. So we wait for it, we pursue it, and we blame ourselves when it disappears. But this model is incomplete. You see, when you observe it closely, motivation doesn't fail randomly. It fails predictably. And this pattern is remarkably consistent across different domains, whether we're talking about goals, careers, habits, or ambitions. The sequence of failure is almost always the same. It starts with a huge surge of energy. This is followed by some short-term progress, but then that gives way to a gradual resistance, and ultimately, it terminates in collapse. The repeatability of this sequence suggests a systemic cause. If the unreliability of motivation were just an accident, this pattern of failure wouldn't repeat with such precision. This consistency indicates that the flaw is not inherent to motivation itself. The analysis has to shift somewhere else. The problem lies in the function that motivation is being asked to perform. We're using a tool for a task for which it was never designed. So, the common understanding of motivation is based on a fundamentally flawed premise: the idea that motivation functions as a type of fuel. Most of us treat motivation like fuel, a finite resource that powers action until it's all used up. But neurologically, this is just inaccurate. Motivation is not a resource, it is a signal. This signal is generated by a process known as dopaminergic anticipation. Essentially, it's the brain's prediction that a specific action is going to result in a meaningful reward. When this prediction weakens, the motivational signal fades. The cause isn't an increase in effort, but a decrease in the perceived reality of the reward. Now, this motivational signal isn't stable. It's subject to predictable decay, and this is driven by two primary factors: novelty and our perception of the future. The human brain has a very high degree of responsiveness to anything novel. New goals, new plans, even new identities can trigger a significant release of dopamine. This generates an elevated motivational signal, and that is the biological basis for why beginning a task is often so straightforward. But the response to novelty decays, and it decays rapidly. As an action is repeated, the novel stimulus gets replaced by routine. As a consequence, the motivational signal drops, even if the objective value of the goal hasn't changed at all. The system was designed for initiation, not for maintenance. Many modern goal structures are built on the idea of delayed rewards, but this structure is incompatible with a well-known cognitive bias called temporal discounting. This principle simply states that future rewards are psychologically devalued in direct proportion to how far away they are in time. As the timeline between the effort you put in now and the reward you get later extends, the reward begins to feel less real. Its value is discounted, and when a reward feels distant, the motivational signal loses its clarity. The neurological system no longer computes a compelling reason for the immediate expenditure of effort. So, the common response to a decaying motivational signal is to apply force. This response, however, is counterproductive. When motivation fades, we often introduce external and internal pressures. These include deadlines, self-criticism, and manufactured urgency. But pressure doesn't activate motivational circuits, it activates stress circuits. The brain's motivational pathways are associated with cognitive states of growth and flexibility. Stress pathways, in contrast, narrow our focus, increase our perception of threats, and reduce cognitive flexibility. The brain's operating mode shifts from growth to damage control, and motivation doesn't function under threat, it ceases. An alternative to relying on such a volatile signal is to implement a stable structure. Motivation is volatile. It depends on emotion, and it is inherently high in friction. A system, on the other hand, is stable. It depends on structure, and it is designed for low friction. A system doesn't require emotional energy to function. A behavior that's driven by a system can appear disciplined, even when motivation is completely absent. The behavior isn't sustained by desire. It's sustained because the structural design has minimized the resistance to its execution. We often task motivation with compensating for a lack of structure. It is incapable of performing this function. The repeated failure of motivation is therefore not a personal deficit. It is a problem of design. Motivation is a specialized tool with specific effective applications. These include starting new endeavors, exploring novel possibilities, and initiating change. It is, however, ineffective for ensuring consistency, performing maintenance, and executing long-term plans.
Most frameworks for action are built on the false assumption of consistent motivation. When motivation is treated as a foundation instead of a trigger, collapse is the inevitable outcome. The failure is structural, not personal.
Motivation consistently fails because it was never meant to carry the load placed upon it. The mechanism is not broken, it is being misused. If motivation was never designed to sustain effort, what should be doing that job instead?